All right, so I guess we're live now. Uh, Hi, Alam. How are you? Can you hear me properly and that there's no problem with the connection or anything? Please let me know in the chat that everything is fine for you. After so many days of not going live, finally I'm back. Okay, cool. So you can hear me good, right? And the network is also looking okay for you. We're probably gonna wait for uh, for a couple of people to join maybe, and then we shall get started. Okay, everything is fine, right? In here. So uh, if more people join, please let me know in the chat that you have all joined. Probably. So far I think we have two people who have joined. Maybe more will join, not sure. um so yeah, maybe like 5 more minutes and we shall get started. So is this your first time joining the live show or you have joined before? Let me know as well. So if this is your first time, then uh, just will let you know that what we'll do in each of the live stream. But today is a little bit different, in which I'll try to maybe talk more about the upcoming Core Web Vitals and the June core update that is currently going on, to kind of give like a little bit of introduction and a little bit of things that you maybe need to understand as well. Especially, I might be focusing more on core web vitals because it seems to be what many people have been focusing on nowadays. So we'll probably talk more about that. And then of course there will be the live Q&A section, in which you can obviously ask your questions, and also site audit as well, quick site audit if you have, or if we have time for it. But yeah, mostly for today's session is going to be something around that. um so maybe we might get started for today's session. Maybe I'll start with the latest SEO news, so so we can get updated of what's going on in the industry. Shall I get started for everyone that who has joined? So let me know that you're all good for me to get started, and yeah, I'll open up the news site so you know what's happening in the industry. Okay, so I guess we shall get started with the today's session. Okay, so first, we are here at the news. This is the place where I get all my SEO news from, seroundtable.com. So you can definitely go and check it out, the website. So yeah, the website, so it's run by Barry Schwartz, the guy who has been in the SEO industry forever. First news, so this is a big headline, right? Like, core update was released on June 4th, but the impact was felt around June 7th. So I don't know for any of you who are listening here that when did you first feel the update? For me, it fell right around this date only, right around Saturday. So that is when the impact was felt, although it was released like 1 or 2 days prior to that. So here Google says that a natural link for the manual action, you still need to really clean it up. So there's really no way around it. Like if you're faced with manual action, the first thing, or the things that you need to maybe focus on the most is to kind of try to clean it up as much as possible, and then the remainings you can use the disavow files for it, and then yeah. Regarding the so this is one of the big news in the industries for SEO tools. So a company named iContact has finally acquired Moz. If Moz is one of the most famous SEO tools available out there in the market. And finally, the Moz tool has been acquired by iContact. I think about 3 days ago, and yeah, so iContact, actually, I just read about it. They're kind of like an email marketing software, something like that. And they promise to really, make the Moz software, Moz tool much better than it is. From what I've listened from many people, Moz seems to be the worst SEO tools out there available in the market. So, hopefully with the um, hopefully with this deal, we might see a better Moz in the market in the near future. And besides that, also regarding the Google UX testing, so Google has been, consistently testing different things in the search results. One of this, which seems to be fascinating to me, is this one, the magnifying glass in the mobile search, which I just saw today morning. So if you do a search for anything, right, while you're scrolling down, you kind of see like this icon, this one, and what if you click on it, it will bring you back right to the search bar on the top, and you can research your queries again. So it seems like a small handy features that Google might add in the future. We don't know, it's just a testing there. Besides that, also let me maybe open up some of the old news. So more stories. We didn't have much after the core update was released, but yeah, I mean, prior to that in May, we had lots of unconfirmed not core update, sorry, unconfirmed update, which was released in around April, towards the end of April and full of May. So yeah, so it could be a preparation for a core update, which usually happens like before core updates about 2 to 3 weeks prior. Google used to like test a lot of things, and that could be one of the one of the reasons why those we had so many updates in May, as well as towards the end of April, because they could be testing for the core updates rollout. After that, I don't think there's anything, that we have to really kind of need to know about, except, yeah, so this one, so this is a little bit of, a reminder for every one of you who thinks that, okay, Google, is very smart nowadays, right? So you don't really need to focus on your keyword or stuff like that, which is not really true, because in this Hangout, the latest Hangout by John Mueller, he admitted that although Google has developed a lot from the past, and the machine is now able to understand more of a natural language, still you would need to still kind of have to use your keywords here and there, in some of the places, such as the title tag, the content, stuff like that. And just make sure you use some simple language that the machine can easily understand, right? And yeah, so you can go and watch this Hangout. So there was a guy who asked, right, like with all the development that Google has done over the past few years with AI, should he be worried about adding the keyword and stuff like that? So at the end of the day, it's still a machine, right? So it still needs something to really to kind of help it understand what the page is about and stuff like that. So, yep, that's pretty much it regarding the news that I think are important. So yeah, those are everything that we had in the industries for the latest news. Now maybe we might jump to the quick Q&A section first. If any of you have any questions, you can let me know in the chat, and I'll answer your questions as I'll try to answer all of them, of course, as much as I can. Yeah. So let me know in the chat of any of your questions, and we might start talking or discussing about the core web vitals and the June core updates, right? That's currently going on. So and then after this Q&A, we might have another Q&A towards the end as well. So let me know in the chat if you have any of your questions, anything regarding SEO, and probably marketing in general, if I can help. For any of you who are watching, feel free to shoot your questions. Norris says morning, evening for me, but yeah, morning for you, Norris. We just finished the latest the what's news in SEO, like from the past, I think 1 or 2 weeks. So yeah, I'm not sure if you have watched it, but just finished. Not really nothing much from from the June update and the core web vitals stuff like that. But yeah. So Pintu asked, mobile usability issues are affected ranking. Uh, it could be, but like mobile friendliness. If you mean like okay issues, right? So if you have some issues there, I don't think it really affects much. Like if it really doesn't annoy users and it's fine, I think. But yeah, I don't think it's really of a big deal unless your users are really annoyed and it doesn't create a good user experience. Then I think it's a big problem there. Otherwise, I think it's fine. You can ignore it if just some small errors here and there. So yeah, I hope that answers your questions. Just got an email, from someone who asked for guest posts on my website. I know, but all of a sudden I start getting these kind of emails quite frequently in the past 2 weeks. I used to get, I mean, I do get a lot of them obviously from time to time, but from the past 2 weeks, it's been quite frequent, more than usual, almost every day. Yeah, almost every day. Pinto says, "Thanks, bro. You're welcome, my friend. Let me know if you have any more questions. I can help you out. Probably we'll run this Q&A for maybe 10 minutes, and then we'll maybe discuss a little bit about core web vitals and June core updates, and then we'll maybe have another Q&A towards the end." So Norris asked, "I've been creating a bunch of landing pages, each targeting local cities with keyword like web design city, or I'm starting close to my locations and spreading out to further away a lot of uh okay, no problem." You accidentally press enter there. Sure, you can finish off your typing there. Global city starting close to my location and spreading out further. Okay, I'm following your questions. You can continue ahead with it. In the meantime, if any of you have questions, let me know. uh, Alam asked, there is a plugin called Nitro Pack I use to increase my page speed in size 200. Please let me know if it's legit cause I feel suspicious about it. Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I haven't used this plugin really, but I've seen lots of Facebook posts and people commenting that the plugin seems to only basically fool the metrics there in a page speed insight, which it doesn't really help increase anything. But to be honest, I'm not sure. I haven't tested. I haven't tried it. But if you can try accessing the website, and you can see, if it loads fast for you or not. If even it's just to make sure, that it just doesn't fool the metric there, right? Just it actually helps with the speed there. But at the end of the day, you don't really have to aim for 100 in the Google page speeds insights, because it's just a lab tool, lab data there. Google will definitely will use the real world data that they collect over time from the Chrome UX thing, right? The Chrome UX API that they have access to. So, obviously trying to aim for the maximum score is good thing, but you don't really need to get to that high. So if it actually speeds up the thing, then I would say it's fine. There shouldn't be a problem with that. I think that is the main priority, is just to make sure it loads fast, not really to get all the metrics lights up. But yeah, I'll definitely talk about this very soon, in a couple of minutes from now, regarding the corporate vitals and all the myths surrounding it, which is one of the thing is actually getting your page speed insights to 100. So yeah. Norris asked, a lot of keywords are low volume. Do you think that matters? I was thinking it might give good signals to Google anyway if I'm ranking for anything versus only trying for higher volume keywords. Okay, so I don't think it really matters. Like, you just have to really focus on what matters to you. Just basically, spend not just on quantity but on the quality, right? So you're not just trying to crank out as many pages as possible, even though with an impression of showing to Google that okay, you're trying to create an authority around this topic or stuff like that. But at least if those keyword actually can bring you some business, then yeah, definitely I would watch for it. I would I would go for it for sure. But if it really hardly has any search volume, and you're not really getting any business on it, then I don't think it really worth the time going after them. So it doesn't matter, right? If you're just targeting the big keywords. I mean, targeting big keywords definitely, like, you should always aim high, right? You should always have a big goal there to to get that big keyword, stuff like that. But targeting low volume keyword from time to time is good for to build that momentum, to build that initial sales, initial conversion that you need, initial rankings, just to get your site moving, right? Get your cash flowing, stuff like that. But in terms of ranking, it doesn't really matter actually. I mean, having multiple pages on the website kind of talk about the same or similar topic is a good thing, but you don't really need that much. Like, I think 5 to 10 pages are enough to really to kind of for Google to really kind of figure out what your site is about and stuff like that. So yeah, I wouldn't worry much about it actually. Harjo says, "Hola, Jackie. Hola, Harjot. How are you, my friend?" Alam said, "Thanks. You're welcome, Alam." And Norris, I hope that makes sense for you. I mean, if you have time for it, then that's good, right? You can create on that, but you don't really have to focus much on it if it doesn't really bring you any business or stuff like that. Yep. Norris says, I'm at 43 different landing pages so far. 43, I'm not sure if it's a big number there. It depends on the city, I mean, in the country where you're from, in the locations and stuff like that. So maybe 43 might not be a lot. So I mean, you have to, reevaluate, right? Like, what really matters for your business. Maybe like only the 20 ones are what truly matters. Then you can just ignore the remainings and just put your energy and effort to those 20 only, right? Like, give it all you've got there. And yeah, but if you want to build that quick momentum, right, that initial momentum, then definitely you can go that. Norris says, Yes, makes sense. I created templates and it takes 20 seconds per page to create. I figured I evaluate what which are doing well and add content later to those. Yeah, I mean if you can easily create them, then it's fine. Then you can reevaluate on those and again, make an improvement once you move forward. Then that's also another good strategies, which I think is good thing. So yeah, but just don't make sure just to make sure that you're not cranking out like hundreds of pages that ultimately end up being the duplication of each other, and all you are doing is just swapping out the city there, here and there, which because if you actually create too many pages, it becomes like doorway pages, right? So uh at one point Google might start investigating into your site and think like you're actually have become spam or stuff like that, right? Trying to crank out these type of pages. So I maybe would be cautious on that, regarding that as well. So I mean, of 43, I don't think is still too much yet, but if it's up to like 100 or 200, then I might start to wondering. So maybe have to be careful on that as well. So that it seems to be like the biggest issues with all the landing pages, this type of business. So just be careful on that. Okay, so I think we're deep enough in the Q&A. So maybe I'll just like to talk about today's main topic, that is the core web vitals and the June core update, right? So for those of you who have questions, I'll answer them like towards the end of the session or maybe in between. So just to let you know. So regarding the core web vitals, right? Like, so first of all, Google released a June core update on I think June 4th. Yeah, June 3rd or June 4th, somewhere around that. Which is actually not the same with the Core Web Vitals, right? That's coming this month as well. So this month we're basically having two updates back to back, stack over each other. We are now having June Core update that is going on at the moment, and the Core Web Vitals, which will be live around towards the mid of June this month, right? So don't confuse that these two are the same. They're actually not. Core update is aimed at improving the overall search quality and search results across the board, across different metrics. So this includes the on-page metrics, the links metric and stuff like that. Whereas core web vitals only focused on well, the page experience, the experience of your page. So it could be that the core web vitals is also now has become part of the core update as well, or maybe like semi live going on. I'm not sure, but they may be connected with each other as well. Because when Google actually says that we're gonna release it next month or we're gonna release it next year, they already have done it, right? You have to know that before they push any button live or any rankings, signals or anything, they would already have done some testing prior, right? At least for up to certain amount of time. So let's say, prior to the bird release back in 2019, the bird algorithms, they had already done, I think, more than 1,000 tests on bird before in the search results live. So, while you were doing searches here and there without you unknowingly, Bird had already been running there, right? But you never knew it until they really announced that they are live. So Core Web Vitals, I'm almost certain that it is already live. I think since they already announced it last year, or maybe I think this year, towards the end of this year, beginning of this year. But it's not just publicly announced. That's it. So yeah, and from my point of view, from my honest opinion, core web vitals isn't really going to be a big deal really that you have to be worried about. Just like the whole internet is now kind of started to basically, getting paranoid and started to get their page speed up to 100 or stuff like that. To be honest, you have to understand that Google's main job is to make money from advertisement, and they will not, you know they will never ever give support to search, in the same that they would give to ads. So you have to think about it, why they're really publicly announcing that core web vitals now becoming a part of the ranking factors, if unless it is important, right? Because think about it, they have like more than, I think, 200 ranking signals. They never really disclose much of them, except for those like tiny ones, right? Like mobile friendliness, SSL certificate, speed, all these. They all announced these as being a public ranking factors, but the rest they all kept hidden. Why? Because they knew that these ranking factors are really small, right? And they knew that, even if you just pour all your money into it, they're hardly going to affect your rankings anyway, right? And the bigger ones that they're keeping as a secret, obviously they're never going to disclose it, right? Because if they disclose it, obviously people are just going to manipulate it, and they're just going to lose all the revenues from ads, right? So you have to understand that. That's why, by publicly announce that Core Web Vitals is going to become a next ranking factors, it's definitely going to be a small one, right? Otherwise, they wouldn't let it out like that. So hope that makes sense, and hope you get the logic behind that, why it won't. And I'm certain, 100% certain, that it won't become a big part of the ranking factors. So you don't really have to get your mobile speed page speed inside to 100. You don't really have to spend thousands of dollars on trying to optimize for page speed, stuff like that. Just make sure it gets up to certain point where you feel that, okay, users are satisfied enough with the speed, with the experience that you're giving them from the page, and then everything would be all right then, right? So yeah, that's regarding the core web vitals. So something asking here. Okay. Okay. Norris asked, if I have an infographic with a lot of text, is there a good strategies to get the text noticed by Google? I can't really think of anything except stuffing all the text into an alt tag or something. Um, no, you can't really get. I mean, Google, they seem to look at text on the image up to some extent, but I'm not quite sure how much they really analyze the text and the image there. But if you want to rank the image, then I think having keywords in the alt text are enough. And also, keyword in the file names is also fine. And if your page ranks well for the queries, then your image will also rank higher as well. They both go hand in hand. So yeah. Um, that is regarding image SEO. So it goes along with the page. So if your page ranks well, the image also ranks well. And besides, you can also add keyword in the alt text and the file name. And apart from that, if the image actually is, what do you say? Image is actually about the query itself, about the keyword or relevant to it, then definitely it will rank for it as well. I mean, if you search about it, I mean, if you can do a search for, like, tiger image, right? And Google, what you bring, it will bring out tiger image. So it understand image up to some extent for sure. And with now, the new, what do you say, the new algorithm that they kind of going to announce very soon, that is MUM, right? The new algorithms that they announced in the Google I/O 2021. That is a multimodal transformers, which is capable of understand different type of information, right? So especially images and text, also videos. So definitely you will see lots of multimedia going on in a near future. You'll see, like when you do a search for something, it's gonna be full of colors, right, on the search results. Sometimes you'll see a blob of image here, videos here, maybe the section of the videos here and there. So it's going to be interesting for sure. Search for SEO in the upcoming years with the new advancement in AI and stuff like that. So I don't think you really need to stuff anything there, to be honest. If you want the image to rank well, you just have to make sure it's relevant enough for the queries. That's it. Okay, so any questions regarding Core Web Vitals? Since I just finished kind of talking about it. So yeah, if you have any question regarding Core Web Vitals, let me know, like, like whether you should do this or should do that. And regarding the June core update that is going on at the moment, currently, definitely, I don't have any data at the moment as to really tell you what the update is about. And also, in my opinion, I mean, uh, I also don't think I'll release any video on the analysis as well, like I always do for other updates. And I don't think I'll do it anymore in the future, because it doesn't really make sense. Like I just, yesterday I was thinking about it, and it doesn't really make sense, to really for anyone really to make an analysis on what the update is really about. And I'll tell you the reason here. And so, with each core update that is currently happening, that Google has been rolling out since I think 2018, after they, have completely stopped, releasing, what do you say, targeted updates, means like, prior to 2018, they had updates, such as penguin algorithms, right? That solely focused on backlinks. They had panda algorithm, which solely focused on content, right? So all these, uh, updates prior to 2018, they all were targeting certain things, certain on the website, right? So either it's content, either it's backlinks, either it's user experience, stuff like that. But since then, after they had turned to machine learning and AI, they had changed it completely, right? So for now, for each of the updates that is currently going on, it's not just about one factor or one aspect of the website alone. It's the combination of everything, right? It could be links here, it could be content there, or it could be something way more than that, that we could ever imagine, right? Because obviously they kept it as a secret. And that is because what they are all doing here is just tweaking and retraining the, what do you say, the machine learning, right? So if you understand like the basics of machine learning and artificial intelligence, these things needs to be retrained, need to be retweaked, and all these, the weights, right, that the ranking factors, they need to be what do you say, recalibrate, right, in order to improve the quality of the search result, in order to improve the what do you say, the efficiency, the accuracy, and stuff like that. So since 2018, all the core updates that have been happening, they all are just a part of machine learning, relearning, training, tweaking, stuff like that. So it's never a part, it's never just let's say it's now authority is now winning over relevancy or stuff like that. We can't really judge it by looking at it like this anymore. So for any of you who are listening here and think that okay, you can't easily, you think that okay, if you're hit by an update, you're gonna go and start watching videos about the analysis, and you'll start implementing on your site, and with the hope that it will get improved. No, it won't. And it will hardly give you anything there. I mean, for sure, for each of the analysis there might be something that is true there, a little bit here and there, but the data that we all have been gathering are just from the correlations, right, from the studies that we had on various websites, which again, if you have heard about it, is correlation doesn't mean causations. So the data that we all had are just guesses and speculations, right, based on correlation and stuff like that. And that is why the analysis of each of the core updates won't really make sense, right? Because we can't really know what is going on there. So what is the best thing to really like future proof your website against all these updates, is to definitely be on top of everything, right? Is to make sure that you're doing everything correct, make sure that your user experience is on point, content is on point, and other signals are on point and are always above your competitors, right? Remember, all these signals are always relative to your competitors, relative to your niche. So it's going to be different for each website, each keyword. That's why these type of analysis isn't going to help you, because it is always different, right, for each keywords, each niche and everything. And if you got hit, even though you felt that you have done everything correctly, it means you haven't, right? If you got hit and you think that, you might be wondering, like, I've already done everything correctly, why I got hit by this update? It means you didn't do it correctly, although you thought you have done it correctly, but no, you didn't. So that's the thing that you need to really keep in mind on, right? So if you got hit by any updates, you just have to admit that your competitors are doing way better than you. Apart from that, like, let's say if you got hit by the updates, what you should really do is to to sit back, look at all the data in your search console, in your Google Analytics, and do a full site audit, right? Look at each and everything in detail in comparison to your competitors, and see what have they done, that you haven't, or what did you miss that they didn't miss, right? And yeah, and look at each and everything in detail, and then step back and see what you could do to really improve your site further, right? To really get out of this, what do you say, the punishment, or whatever you want to call it, the filter stuff like that, the reason why you got hit by these updates. So yeah, I mean, if you do it, if you have done everything correctly, you will always win, right? You will always win in these type of updates, no matter what. So that's also another my take on these core updates, and what you should really be aware of. So yeah, I guess that's all information I think I need to really get out. Let me know if you have any questions. We have about like 20 minutes or so before I leave. So yep, I hope it makes sense for whatever I just talk. um if you have any questions, about whatever I just discussed, let me know, because I think some of the things that I just spoke were a little bit, confusing to understand. Even like, especially for beginners, you might be wondering, like, what the hell he's talking about here, machine learning and stuff like that. But yeah, I try my best to break it down to the simplest form as possible. But I might be too fast, so if you want me to, to iterate any part slowly, or to explain more, you can let me know in the questions as well, in the chat, I mean. Norris says, nice breakdown of what to do during updates. Yeah, thank you, Norris. I appreciate that. Glad you like it. So yeah, I mean, what you have to do during the core update rollout, right? So each core update usually takes about 2 to 4 weeks to complete, the rolled out. And but for this June core update, it is a little bit special. That is, part of it will be released in this month, and the second part will be released in next month, right, in July. So it actually is the first time I'm seeing this, so it's a little bit surprised. But Google gave a reason that they kind of have a setback in, in getting out full, what do you say, full improvement that they needed for the update, and that's why they had to break it down in two parts. So yeah, so it takes about 2 to 4 weeks for the update to completely rolled out. During this time, it's best to not to look at your ranking data, because it's going to be all over the place. Especially if you use, the what do you say, the rank tracking software, like SEMrush rank tracker, or I don't know, Pro rank tracker, probably something like that, because the data is going to be all over the place. Just try to minimize the checking as much as possible, and do it from time to time. The best thing right now would be, I think, for search console and manual check for the keyword, if you're really wondering where are you right now at for update. And if you got hit initially, let's say the first week, don't get panicked. There's a possibility is that it will get reversed, or you will get improved after the next following week, right? So don't really jump to any conclusions that, oh, I got hit now by the updates, I should start making all those changes to my site. That is also another dangerous thing that you need to keep in mind. wait about 2 to 4 weeks, and just and then you can come back and sit back and then look at what whether you got hit or not, or stuff like that. During this time, make as minimal changes as possible to the site. Make it so that you can really keep track of each and everything you make changes, just to make sure you don't trip anything right in between. Because you might get hit the first week, the next week you might get a boost, so we don't know, the update hasn't finished yet, and we're just right, we're not even 1 week into the update yet. So keep that in mind as well, and this applies to all core updates especially. Google releases, I mean, not Google, I mean, yes, so Google and other SEOs have all been kind of preaching this forever, that don't do anything during core updates, and that is true. So don't get panicked. Try to stay away from the rank tracking software as much as possible. And yeah, and if you feel that you need to make any improvement to the site, if you feel that you need to add more content, you need to maintain it, you can continue doing those things. That's fine. But avoid making large changes to the site that you can't really keep track of. So yep, that's another thing to keep in mind as well, especially for beginners, who could be experiencing their first core update this year. So don't get freaked out. It's a part of a game. If you're in SEO, you have to see it every time. You'll get used to it after some time for sure. um, Raju asked, do direct and search traffic rankings matters? Yep, for sure. I mean, traffic is also one part of the ranking factors, and we don't know how much, but it's also one thing which seems to be playing a role there. So yeah, search traffic rankings, you mean clicks, right? The clicks, click through rate, stuff like that, for sure. I mean, we have many evidence to really give a conclusion that yes, clicks are the ranking factors, and you should be really focusing on getting clicks from the search results. Direct traffic, I think to some extent we do have some data from some experiments, but it's not really conclusive yet. But in my opinion, I do think it's a ranking factors, because it's also something that can give if users land on the page directly, it's also a sign that your business is of higher authority, is higher trusted, stuff like that. We do have some data to really prove that it's a ranking factor, so I do believe that it is. Yes, so yeah. Any questions regarding Core Web Vitals, June core update, any core updates, or anything in general regarding SEO? For another, I think, 10 minutes or so, 10 to 15 minutes. Let me know, everyone in the chat. Especially Core Web Vitals, if you have any doubts, you can let me know here, so that you don't really spend time and money trying to get your crank your page speed up to 100, right? I mean, I see it almost every other day on Facebook. Whenever I scroll, people would post and would boast about, look at my page speed inside score, look at my page speed, look at my GT metrics, score and stuff like that. And then people would just start to comment like, how do you do that, let me know which plugins and all stuff, and it all goes crazy, man. Like, I mean, I look at it and I laugh at it every day. So yeah, I mean, don't get really freaked out with all these core web vitals. To be honest, like I still have many websites who are all in the red zone. All URLs are having like basically didn't pass core web vitals any metrics, and they're all doing very well. Even this core updates, they all got boosts as well so far. I haven't got hit yet by this core update so far, even though all my core web vitals are all red. So don't really worry about it. It's a very tiny ranking factors. And Google themselves really, talked about it, in our, let me say, publicly, that it is just a tiebreaker, right? So compare your website to other to your competitors. If every metrics being equal, everything being equal, then they might use Core Web Vitals to really judge it as the last thing, right? So that's the thing. And they do publicly announce it as well as being just the tiebreaker. Norris says it is frustrating when Elementor doesn't get great scores without a bunch of work, but I know that really doesn't matter as much as doing good content. Yeah, for sure. It doesn't really matter. Uh, you don't have to focus on the score, right? You just have to focus on the actual speed itself. That okay, you're not really taking like 10 seconds to load that page, and I think it would be fine, right? Like obviously try to aim for a faster load time, right? Like they have a stats, right? The statistics says that every seconds of page load time reduce your conversion by 7%, stuff like that. I mean, page speed do really matters, does really matter. So I would, if you want to really be sure, I would install software like Hotjar or Crazy Egg, and do the CRO there to check, if you're doing okay with the conversion and stuff like that. I think that would give you a better data there, compared to versus the page speed score, right? So like CRO, conversion rate optimization should be a part of all of your SEO strategies, right? Because there's no point of ranking high, without conversions. So yep. Um, and yeah, since you mentioned Elementor, I mean, I use Elementors like 99% on all of my projects, so um, so don't have to worry much. Raju asked, I have one more questions. There are SEO who claim that keyword placement and weight do not matter, and those who say it does. Please let me know what you think about it. Yeah, I mean, I just basically talk about it in the today's SEO news, that John Miller says that keyword placement still matters, right? You still need to make sure that you have your keywords on the page for the algorithm to understand what the page or what the content is really about. And keyword weight, like where you actually essentially put it on the page, also matters, right? Like, keyword in the title tag is way more important than keyword in the body tag, right? Or keyword in the heading tags are more important than keyword in the body tag. So I mean, it's definitely there, and I've seen it all the time. And it is a myth that, I mean, you should be focusing on having keyword on your page for sure. So for those that say that it doesn't matter, they really don't know what they're doing. I mean, I'm speaking from what I'm doing it all the time. Like you can try it now, right? Just go back, try tweaking your title tag. I mean, by removing the keyword from your title tag, and you can see how far you'll drop in the rankings. You can try today. Once your page gets indexed tomorrow, you can see the drops instantly, right? And then you will understand that this is false, right? Keyword weight definitely matters. Where you put it on the page definitely matters. Like all the important spots, like title, URLs, all those. You can try it right, like just right now. Just remove one keyword from the title tag and see if you see a drop tomorrow. And for sure you will, like within instantly, right? As soon as the page gets indexed, you'll see drops. It's that fast. So yeah, I hope that answers your questions, Raju. Um, I mean, today is quite good. Like we have quite a lot of questions. That's great. After coming back after so many days, that's great. Okay, any more questions? Or are you all good with the information that you received today? So I have about 10 more minutes. Uh, so yeah, let me know if you have any questions. Norris says, nope, thanks for explaining everything. You're welcome, Norris, and also thank you for joining us. Well, you can catch up with me later in the Discord group if you have any more questions. But yeah, so far, I think I've cleared many doubts. But if any more of you have questions, you can let me know as well. Any questions? If none of you have any questions, then I can leave, right? I mean, if you don't all have any questions, so any questions, you guys? If you all are good with today's knowledge, you can let me know yes in the chat that everything is clear and that I'm not really confusing you all. Raju says the explanations I received was very helpful. Thank you. You're welcome, Raju. Um, it's my pleasure to help clarify things for you. Um, okay, Norris says everything was great. All right, great, Norris. Glad you like it. So I don't think any of you have any more questions. Final call for the questions, guys. Otherwise, I'm gonna end the session now since I don't have anything else to do or to answer your questions. Any final questions? Any questions? If everything is good, then I'm just gonna end stream for today. Any final questions we have today? Okay, don't seem like we have any more questions. So okay, guys. Thank you everyone for joining, and it's been a great session today. I hope all you have gained insights and knowledge to what these flops are all about. Um, if you have any more questions, you can leave it in the comment section, and I'll come back and reply all of them. Oh, we got one question from Assad asking how many factors for SEO. I don't know, Assad. Honestly, I don't know. Like, no one really knows. And you shouldn't trust anyone who says they know as well. Because, Google never disclose it publicly how many factors they use. Although they kind of mention it, like we kind of have over 200 rankings factors and stuff like that. It's I believe it's way more than that, right? It's way more than that, and it could be here and there in between, like let's say for the keyword, maybe in keyword you might have tiny factors in between, like keyword 1.1, keyword 1.2, I know big mess there if you ask for factors, right? Um, Honestly, I don't know, to be honest, because Google never publicly announce like how many factors they use. From their documents, they mentioned, like, I think it's a about 10 years old document. They mentioned 200 factors, and that's where the 200 ranking factor myths comes to play, right? Aside asking, is backlinks dead? uh, Backlinks are still alive, but they seem to be having way less important than they were before. Way less. So yeah, maybe it's time to really focus on content, because I used to be like a backlinks diehard fan. I used to love backlinks a lot until from the past year or so, I've been getting very poor results after building so many links. Even all the links that all claim to be high quality and stuff, I wasted a lot of money on backlinks. And to be honest, it didn't give me a good ROI, like returns at all. I mean, if you get the really good one, a link can really give you a good boost. But otherwise, I would really focus on content more and other stuff, right, rather than backlinks. Yeah, you still would want to have them. I'm not saying that you shouldn't build ad links at all, but it's just way less important than they were before, like 5 years, 2 years ago. They're way more important than backlinks. So such as on page and stuff like that. If you really know how to do it correctly, precisely. Okay, so any questions, Assad? Quick questions. Okay, Assad says thanks, sir. You're welcome, Assad. All right, so thank you again, everyone, for joining, and I'll see you probably in next week's sessions if I'll come. Otherwise, I don't know. I'll try to go live like this every week, but if I get like good response like today, then I'll go live every week. Otherwise, it would be like once in a while, like every 2 weeks, or every 3 weeks, like that. Once in every 2 weeks or 3 weeks. Okay, so thank you everyone for joining. It has been a great sessions, and I'll see you in the next session. Happy rankings and good luck to all of you.